Hello everyone, my name is Matt Iokai, and this is the PAX East 2018 interview with the head of branding and communications at Elastic Games, the creator of the upcoming horror game, Last Year the Nightmare. Before we start, I'm going to give you some background info. Elastic Games allowed hundreds of people to play Last Year the Nightmare at the PAX East gaming convention, which took place between April 5th through the 8th. I got to play the game 3 times, twice before the interview and once after. There is a bit of background noise in the interview due to the fact we are surrounded by thousands of people and the Last Year commentator was putting on a live show, but a majority of that was silenced and edited out in post-edit. Throughout the interview, I'll be showing some of the photos I took, and if you still have trouble hearing anything, you can read the subtitles. Feel free to ask questions in the comments below, let me know what you thought of the interview, and your thoughts on the upcoming game. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more upcoming Last Year the Nightmare videos and a wide variety of gaming content. Thank you, and enjoy. Jay, thank you so much for letting me interview. I appreciate it. And could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, so my name is Jay Acevedo, and I'm the head of brand and communications at Elastic Games for Last Year the Nightmare.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so I have a few questions for you. How long have you worked in the gaming industry for?
So I have more than 10 years of experience in the industry. I started just like you as a journalist, where I had my own website, my own blog. It was for fun at the beginning. Then I started networking with other people. We formed a team. We started doing editorials, attending events, doing interviews with industry people. I've done that for around, I would say, 5 years or so.
Whoa.
And then I got an offer to join Ubisoft. And then I worked there for close to 7 years.
So most of your time has been at Ubisoft?
Yeah, most of my industry time has been at Ubisoft. So I got the privilege of working on Rainbow Six Siege, on Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon. So in terms of marketing experience, I had my share of game launches. And then after a while, I was just basically wondering where to take my career next. And then we came across friends that were aware of Last Year. I had a friend of mine who was friend with some of the owners of the studio. We started talking about the game, what it was, and then I fell in love with the game, and then here I am.
I see. That's quite a tale you've got there, from like humble beginnings all the way to Ubisoft, and now here at Elastic Games.
That's right.
Far out.
Thank you.
So I've heard you're the community manager and head of brand and communications. Could you briefly describe what that person does in a gaming company? This is for people who don't know the positions.
Absolutely. So at Elastic Games, my responsibility is to basically ensure that the brand has not just exposure, but also presentation in terms of what those consumers expect. That also comes with the responsibility of creating the lore, creating the brand, the messaging, the characters, the stories. So there's a lot of things that got into the branding aspect of it. Then I have the second role, which is basically communications. So not only communications externally, so to consumers, press, content creators, business development partners, but also internally. So I grab the information from the outside and present it to the team to say, well, this is what's happening on the outside. This is how people perceive the game. This is what people have been asking. This is what people would like. This is what people don't like. This is what the community thinks. And basically digest the information for them to better understand and adapt that to their own development skills.
I see. So you listen to all the player feedback, you internalize it, bring it back to the team, and try to make the game better as it evolves over time.
Well, I guess player feedback goes within community development, which is also one of my responsibilities. It's to offer an opportunity to community members to exchange with us, to have conversations, although sometimes it proves to be more difficult because of the bandwidth, because so many people out there want to know, and we can't answer every single question.
Of course.
But we do our best to do so. We are a small team. I mean, we're 10 people. And I'm the 10th person that I just joined the team, so it's a small team.
I heard it was originally 3 people last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it started with 3 people, and then we slowly grew, and then the Kickstarter, and then the game development started, and then, we're closer to launch, and they needed help to basically handle the marketing and the community development and all that jazz, so that's where I joined the team. So I think when we were talking about player feedback, it falls within that category of community development, but also player feedback from people who are not in the community that might be playing other games or might have heard of our game and they have opinions or ideas or anything basically. So part of my role in communications is to bring that information in and making sure that the guys are available and also understanding of what's happening, and then how they can, to better and easier words, is how to make that information easier for them to make the game development easier as well.
Oh, I see. Okay, so for those who are just discovering last year for the first time, could you briefly describe the premise of the game?
Yep, so it's Halloween night, 1996. We're in Forest Hills, fictional town. The setup starts at Eastside High School, where 5 high schoolers are basically trying to survive the attacks of supernatural killers.
Are they all friends?
I mean, they know each other. You know, I mean, if you, we're all going to high school, so, you know, we have friends, but sometimes we don't. We know each other, we've seen each other, but we're not really friends. But now you have these 5 characters who are basically brought together to survive. So you could imply that, yeah, eventually a friendship has to be developed, right?
Yeah, especially when you go through such a traumatic experience.
You know, we all become friends in rough opportunities and situations, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's like a high school, right? Like, they're all from different backgrounds. You already see them. Like, they're not they're stereotypical high schoolers, and we know how it works. You know, usually the jocks don't hang out with the nerd, you know, but in this case, if we want to survive, yeah, I guess that you can say that we have to become friends.
Adapt or die, right?
Absolutely.
Alright, so one question that has frequently come up in discussion boards is the new look for last year the game. It's now called Last Year the Nightmare. Why did Elastic Games rebrand the game? And with that rebranding the Nightmare, what can players expect from that in the game when they play it?
So, when the game was originally announced as a Kickstarter, it's always an idea, a concept of what the game could be. So nothing is final. So when you have an idea and you develop a game and you get feedback and you get reception, and we also look at how games evolve within the industry, right? I know that it's been a long time passion project.
Oh yeah, for 3 years?
3 years, even 4, yeah, but more 3 years of actual development, right? And then what happens is that things change, things evolve with feedback, with new ideas, how the industry changes. So when we re-announced and with the new logo, the new name, we basically officialized what our game was going to be, right? So we've known, we've heard the feedback, why this, why that, from it as well, right? It's like having that vision, having that desire of pushing our dream towards a new place, and that comes with branding. So that's one of my responsibilities as well, is like, okay, so how do we rebrand this in a sense that it's going to make sense in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, who knows, right? So it's part of the brand experience, and not just at Elastic Games, but every single game works that way in the industry.
And out of curiosity, were you the one that came up with the name The Nightmare?
No. I basically, it's a team effort, right?
Yeah.
And, the guys had this vision. I came in, the vision was already presented to me, and I didn't have much suggestions to do because I was like, yeah, this is great, you know, like it works for me already. So we're seeing eye to eye since day one when we started talking.
I see. And is there this theme of the nightmare? Is it the nightmare of trying to survive from these supernatural killers, or what does the nightmare mean?
Well,
without breaking NDA.
Well, if you were caught in a high school as the sole survivor with monsters going after you, I would say that it's quite a nightmare.
Yeah, I would say so. I'd agree.
You know?
Alright, I was requested to ask this question by several people.
Okay.
What made Elastic Games decide not to go with the second chance backing?
So, for us, our goal, because again that's been in development for such a while, it was to release the game as soon as possible. So for us, opening it to a backer system is just much more complicated at that point. So for us, it was more about, let's just not have these people wait any longer, although they still have to wait. That's why we announced stress testing access prior to the game. That's kind of an early access to people who are interested, who would like to be part of it. We'll be announcing some pre-order program eventually that will include that as well, and I think I made that announcement before we left for PAX. So yeah, I mean, opening it to that will be just bandwidth that we have inside the team. It was just certainly not possible. And there's a lot of people waiting for this game also. So for us, it was more like, if we open it again, that means that we have to, spend time doing that rather than developing the game and finishing and publishing.
And that could take several months.
Exactly. So we're doing that.
I see. Thank you. The response you've gotten has been overwhelmingly positive at PAX East. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a great sign. Is there anything that is different between what people have played here at PAX and what will be in the final game? Like, were certain game elements tweaked specifically for the PAX demo?
I would say yes, but it's also, for us, why we brought it here is because we wanted to bring the basic mechanics of the game playable. So that way we can see how people react to the game, not only when they play by themselves, but when they play as a team, because you have to play as a team in order for you to survive.
Of course.
Right? So we take that feedback and then we basically go back and say, what else can we fix? What else can we adapt? What else can we change? And that's why we're adding stress test servers, testing, close to launch as well, to get that feedback, but nothing that will prevent us from releasing the game at the time that we want to. Right?
Yep.
Game development is really complicated. It's all about milestones, resources, availability, and flexibility as well. Right?
What do you mean by flexibility?
Flexibility in the sense that we're a small team, right?
Yeah.
So if we see something that the community wants or the community does not like, we are able to make tweaks without breaking the game and then adding extra months of work because we changed that feature. In game development, when we talk about flexibility, that's what allows you to do. For us, our base game is there, but we can add things, we can remove things, we can tweak things without breaking the actual balance of the game. Because for an asymmetrical game, you need to have balance from every single person that plays a different character, whether you're a survivor or a killer, whether a killer uses a trap, where the survivor contains and uses an item that they've been crafted, how they're going to use it. Those are the things that when you change one thing, it affects the other. And it's a trickling down system.
And I've seen that with Friday the 13th, the game, and Dead by Daylight, and...
Well, you see that with every single game. You see it with Minecraft. You see it with World of Warcraft. You see it with... I play a lot of NBA 2K. So when you make these changes, it affects the whole environment of the game development system.
Would you say that because you're a small team, you're able to make these changes much faster compared to a AAA studio like Ubisoft?
I would say much faster, but also it has its negative aspects to it as well. So it's not because we're smaller that we're doing it better than the others, because we don't have bandwidth that AAA studios have, for example. But at the end of the day, we all have the same challenges, we all have the same dreams, the same expectations. It's just a matter of how do you handle them.
What was the most difficult part in making last year the game, and how long did that part take?
Well, I can not really speak for the dev team, but they've been working on this game for a long time. I hear the guys, swear and scratch their heads working and fixing things already. So I couldn't imagine how it was a year ago or 2 years ago when there were 3, 4, 5 people just working on that stuff, right? And when you see the game playing and you see the reactions and you see people saying, "Oh my God, like it looks amazing, it looks gorgeous." Well, it's a work of love, truly. So I'm sure that there's been a lot of difficulties, and we still do. We still manage with difficulties. But I can safely say, from my part, is that the guys are giving their all to make this happen. Coming from the AAA world, when you come down to independent gaming studio with smaller teams and you see them being able to pull it off, it's a great achievement on its own.
That is quite a feat, I must admit, especially with just going from 3 guys down to 10 guys, and the game looks beautiful.
And the thing is that it's still a work in progress, even though we're launching in a few months.
You keep saying it, but I don't believe it. It looks complete to me.
But I know, but there's things, that we are not quite happy. We see that there's still a lot of work. We brought a build to PAX that it's for PAX only, but we have another version ready, like in development. So whatever you see now, we're already ahead of time on other things. Right?
So what's something that you and the dev team want to improve on that you're not satisfied with?
Everything. As a game developer, you need to improve on everything. However, what's important is that you need to prioritize what you want to do first and what you want to do second and thirdly and fourthly because of resources and bandwidth. So there are things that are game breaking that obviously we want to fix, which I can safely say that we haven't encountered a game breaking bug so far.
That's good.
Knock on wood. But the game is basically on a very stable state right now. So when you're saying about what do we want to work on, and I say everything, I think it's more put it in the context of prioritization rather than doing everything, not being organized, and then at the end of the day have a game that is just not fun and non-functional when it launches.
So it sounds like you already have a heavy to-do list already in the back of your mind.
Absolutely, we do.
I see. Okay, so a couple game-related questions. Will there be voice communication for players to use? And if players don't have a microphone, what other ways can they communicate in the game, like such as player visual emotes, voice emotes, keyboard chat?
So we have in-game voice chat. Actually, we have it here at PAX, so people can experience how it is to communicate and how vital it is to communicate to get out alive. We are working on a party chat system where you can assemble your party, bring them to matchmaking and play, or you can just go by yourself and play matchmaking. But yes, there is in-game voice. People have been asking, proximity or this and that. That's why we're here. We gather feedback. That's why we're having stress test servers eventually to get that feedback and to say, okay, what are we prioritizing first? What are we launching? What do people want? And then how can we add it moving forward? But we know these type of games is cooperative communication, planning, strategizing. So we understand that in-game voice chat is, pretty important.
It's essential.
It's essential. Thank you. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, and then the fact that we are having plans to support the game post-launch, obviously, and getting the community feedback on it as well, we'll be able to add, modify things if we want to.
So the community will play a large role in developing the game going forward.
I said it last night on the Discord fan server. I made it pretty clear that for us, social gameplay and community harnessing are part of the main pillars of this brand. I came into the team telling them that, and they were like, Jay, we see eye on eye. That's what we want also. So I don't think that's going to be something that you'll hear in the future saying we don't care about the community. We'll never say that. Because for a game like this, you need a community.
You do.
You need fans, and you need that transparency of communications as well. Granted, we can't have all your answers immediately, but we are listening, we are reading, we are taking the messages, the hundreds of messages that we receive, and PAX was kind of an eye-opener for a lot of us as well because you get that live feedback, right? I'll give you an example.
Yeah, please do.
Someone from the Discord who's been following the game has been, chatting and exchanging. That person came to the booth to talk, and it changes the whole perspective in a sense where we understand that when you cannot come to the show and you don't see the game, you have tons of questions you don't necessarily understand, but when you're here, when you come and when you have a discussion, all of a sudden your eyes open. It's like, oh, okay, now I get it, right? So for us, a presence on community is important because I do want to take the time sometimes to go and say, hey, guys, we understand that, but here's our plan. Here's what we're doing. And it's not because we don't want people to talk or we don't want to hear people saying us things. It's more about managing the expectations, but also showing that, hey, we're here. And we're not shying away from you. We're not ignoring you. We're here. I'm actually telling you what we're doing. And it's true. And some of the things that I said in the Discord, I told you when you were here Thursday, and I'm telling you again today now. And people who will hear this interview can go to the Discord and says, he's not bullshitting the community. He's actually saying those things the way they're intended to be said.
And I've seen you on Discord and Twitter, you're answering questions when you can. And you write pins and be like, hey guys, we're listening, we're here, we appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, again, I can't go out there and divulge everything,
of course.
But I'm more than willing to share that transparency about our game and our brand with the community.
And we appreciate that as gamers and aspiring developers. I know some of us are.
Thank you.
Another question is, I spoke to a few members of the team, and they said they've had plans for this game several years downstream.
Yeah.
How do you plan to keep players hooked from year 1 to year 2, maybe even year 3, or going forward?
I think the keyword is community. When I came in, we relaunched our Facebook page. We will launch our Twitter. We're going to be launching our official Discord server. A Twitch channel will follow. So community harnessing is super important. And for us, we see the future. We know what we're building. We know we're going to be adding in the future. And when we have a vibrant community present, asking questions, buying the game, playing with their friends, bring them along. I've seen a lot of streamers here saying, oh, this is a perfect game where I can play with my friends, perfect game that I can play with my community. So at that point, you kind of have a responsibility to say, okay, they have an expectation. How can we manage that expectation? And what else can we bring? So it could be anything at this point, right? It could be characters, it could be skins, it could be modes, it could be events.
Will there be new game modes?
I mean, at this point we don't, because that's basically the mode, it's survival mode. But who knows? I've been on this industry long enough to say that a game that never evolves will die pretty quickly.
I agree with that.
Right?
Yep.
So it's a responsibility towards the consumer as well to offer an experience, but to also keep them engaged. And engagement for me does not come from saying, here's a map. No, it's here's a map, here's some information, here's some community harnessing. And when you tell them about how you plan to support the game, you know, the industry has kind of said, well, how are we going to support it? Well, you know, with a season pass and maps and characters and this and that. Yes, but it's more than that. It's how you interact with your community. I come from Ubisoft, and we've worked on Rainbow Six Siege, right?
Yeah.
It's not about adding operators and maps. It's about creating time events. It's about saying, oh, you know, if you play them this time, you might come across a dev, and you might unlock something. There's several things that you can do to keep the game alive. So it doesn't stay within just the game, it goes beyond. What are we guys doing on Facebook? Do we stream? Do we go on Discord and hold Q&As? How do you keep that community engaged? I just want to make sure that people understand that, and it's particularly from an independent game studio. We need to be aware of things. We need to pick our battles.
Yep.
We can't be everywhere at the same time.
And you can't do all the tactics because it takes time. And
Absolutely. But when you're talking about how we're going to support this game, it goes beyond just content in-game.
so it's more than just content, and it's important for players to understand that it's about community, bringing other communities, Twitch streamer communities, YouTuber communities.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just people who are new to the game, making sure they're included as well. They feel welcome and open, and anyone can give feedback, but it's more than just the skins, weapons, modes.
Absolutely. And you know, I've been a gamer since I'm like 3-4 years old. I've seen this industry evolve into places that I've never would have imagined. And you've seen games today succeeding at that. You know, being one-on-one with the community, give them the transparency, the communication, and being with them alongside, you know. It would be nice to say, in a year, you and I sit down and say, wow, in a year, we did a lot of things, and it shows. That, for me, is a win. And that's a win for the dev team, and that's a win for Last Year the Nightmare.
And that's going to translate into a lot of positive memories for the community.
And that's everlasting memories. And that's what we want in this industry, right? That's why we still play Tetris. That's why we still play Mario Brothers. That's why Atari's coming back to the industry, right? It's about these cherished memories that you can create with the consumers.
Excellent, thank you. And 2 final questions. Will there be dedicated servers in the game, or is it a player-to-player connection?
We're launching player-to-player for now. But we are open to do dedicated servers in the future. Mm-hmm. But we know people want it, but in time.
In the game, are there places survivors can hide from the killer, like in lockers, like you see in Dead by Daylight, or like in a corner, like things where the killer has to look and pry open, or is that still to be determined?
I mean, the map that we're showcasing today is pretty expensive, so there is a lot of places. But again, if I'm the killer and I go predator mode and I go roaming around, I'll see that you'll be hiding, right? So it's about strategizing. But again, I don't want to shut down the door. We never know. But you've played our game, you've seen what we have.
I played twice.
And hiding is not necessarily an option at this point.
No, it's not. You want to stay as a team.
Exactly. So, but again, I don't want to shut the door. We never know. But that's basically part of our demo right now.
And where can players go to find the latest up-to-date information on the game as it evolves?
So that's a good question. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have Facebook. And we have Twitter, where we're going to make our announcements. We are very, very soon unveiling our official Discord server, where you'll be able to find official information coming from us.
Awesome.
And not anybody else taking our roles and saying whatever. So we're doing that. And eventually, you know, we're going to have a Twitch channel once we're ready to share more gameplay, and do streams, and then, yeah, whatever other platforms are out there eventually. But I would say Facebook, Twitter, and eventually Discord and Twitch.
And does Elastic Games have a YouTube channel where you're posting videos?
We do, but eventually we will post also information there as well.
I see. Jay, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you allowing me to interview you. This has been a great, very informative, and community. That is the key to last year the game.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jay. Appreciate it.